Let us look at the exercise number 3 in Microsoft Excel. So in this exercise we are supposed to create details for employees, and what is that we are supposed to do is we are supposed to handle these things, and that is the employee number, name, date of join, department, designation, basic pay for 8 employees, and then calculate DA, HRA, gross pay, professional tax, net pay, and provident fund. Details for calculating this DA, HRA, gross pay, professional tax, and so on and so forth are mentioned here. So I will not explain it now. As and when I fill the values, I'm going to tell you. So I have taken the liberty of filling this part as well as the other column headings in my Excel spreadsheet over here. So this is what I have here. Okay, so I have the employee numbers, and I have taken 4 names as a sample names. Let me start with the employee number E101 as my first employee, and I'm going to click on this employee over here, and I'm going to use the fill handle. So this is the fill handle, and they said 8 employees according to them. If you read the thing over here, of 8 employees, that means I have to fill 8 employees here. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go to the fill handle and just drag it until I get the number 8, and that's it. I have done it. Now I'm going to fill the names, so I'm going to click on in the middle and then select all the names. So I'm not using the fill handle. Click in the middle and select it. Once all the 4 names are selected, go to the fill handle, drag it down, and you have the 4 names created. Let me write the date of join. So I assume that they joined on 21st 09/2022. Let's say 2022 they joined it. Okay, now if you want, you can increase the size. Now suppose if the size is very less, you are going to get it like this. So click here and just drag it so that you can see it. The easiest way is just double click and you have it there. So I have the first date with me. Then I'm going to go to the fill handle and just drag it. So automatically the date will increase, and that's it. I've done with it. Now then they are asking for the department. Remember, you can take the college as your employer, or you can take some other things. So let me say the department is sales department. We have it. Accounts department is one more department that you have it, and you may have the service department as one more department. That's 3 is enough for me. I'm going to select them. So just click here and click in the middle and just select it. Go to the fill handle and then drag it down. You have the things over there. So I will take manager as my first designation, and clerk as my second designation, and maybe engineer as my third one. So and let me slightly zoom it down. So I'm going to select all the 3 again, click at the middle and then drag it. Go to the fill handle, drag it down, and it's going to repeat. So the next part is you are supposed to fill the basic pay. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to fill the basic pay. Now there are a few things that you must notice when you try to fill the basic pay. Somewhere they have said that the basic pay is if it is less than 25,000. So one of the basic pay must be less than 25,000. So remember that. Otherwise you can as you write the as I try to solve it, you may change it, but it is better you start with the something that is less than 25,000. Let me assume that the clerk is getting 12,000, okay, and the manager is getting, let's say, 40,000. This is 4,000, 40,000, and maybe the engineer is getting 55,000 as the basic 55,000. Let me make it as 55,000 as the basic. So I'm going to zoom it down because it is a bit shaking, and I'm going to use the Excel zoom out feature. Okay, so with that done, let me select all the basic pay here, click at the middle, drag it down, go to the fill handle and then just drag it down, and you have all of them are getting created. Now if you find that okay, this is trying to add some values and then trying to do subtract and other things, you really don't want it to do that thing, so select it again, and when you are dragging it, hold the control. So look at what is happening. You are dragging it when you keep the mouse pointer at the fill handle, this is what appears. If you press the control, you see a plus in near to that, you see a plus there. So let's try it one more time. So I'm going to click press, you see that thing. Okay, when it is plus, click and drag it down and leave the mouse pointer first and then the control. So let me do it one more time. So I will delete this just to show you. You have selected everything, go to the fill handle, press, hold down the control key, drag it down, use the mouse, use the fill handle to drag it, leave the mouse button first and then the control. So you have it done. Okay, with that done, let's go to the DA and let's see how the DA is calculated. To calculate the DA, what they have said is it is a flat 30% of the basic. Now what is a 30% is if you try to do the calculation, let me quickly do that thing. Suppose you write 30 by 100. So what is this 30 by 100 is 0.3. Oops, 0.3. So I'm going to use this 0.3 itself as for my calculation. So I'm going to say it is 0.3 into the basic pay. That's it. Press enter, you got the value. I'm going to zoom it down and maybe zoom it a bit so that you can see. Okay, that's done. Let me go to the fill handle. Once it is done, let's go to the fill handle and drag it down, and you got it. You got all the values. Let's go to the HRA, and what does the HRA says? 10% of the basic if the basic is less than 25,000 or 15% of the basic. So first let me check what is the value of the basic. If the value of the basic is less than 25,000, it is 10%, otherwise it is 15%. So how do we go about it? I'm going to start with the equal here, equal. Let me check the basic. So if this basic is less than 25,000, so this is 25,000, then it is 10% of the basic. Now 10%, if you do this one, if you do the calculation, 10 by 100, if you do that is 10%, you are going to get 0.01. Okay, and for 15%, 0.15, you are going to get it. So I will use this value directly. So I'm going to say 0.1 into whatever basic that you are getting it. Otherwise it is 0.15 into the basic. Just press enter and it's all done. Just to see whether you are getting this value or not. So let me make this assumption. What is the assumption? If it is less than 25,000, you must get 10% of the basic. So I assume that my basic itself is 100 rupees. So you know very well 100 rupees is less than 25,000, and you must get 10% of 100 rupees is 10 rupees itself. So if I press enter, I must get the value as 10, which is working. Now suppose if my basic itself is 1 lakh rupees, which is greater than 25,000, I must get 15% of 1 lakh rupees, and that is the 15,000 rupees. So am I getting it? So let me try this one. So 1 followed by 5 zeros, 1 2 3 4 5. So press enter and I'm getting 15,000. So that's it, it's working. So then you type any values over here. I don't know, any value you can type. Okay, just to see that it's something is coming there. Okay, then let me go over here to the fill handle and then drag it down using the fill handle, and the formula is calculated for you. Let's go to the gross pay. And what does the gross pay says? Gross pay is nothing but DA plus HRA plus basic. This is straightforward. You can use the sum function also. If at all you want, you can use sum function. You can say sum, or you can just press enter. Sum these three values, DA plus HRA plus this one. So I type sum and click in the middle and then drag it towards here. Close the closing bracket and press enter. You have it here. This is one way of doing it, or if you want to do it manually, just click on this one, click plus, click on this, click plus and click on this and close it. Now that's going to take a lot of time during the examination, so it is better you start with the sum. Even though you're typing something, click and drag, it's going to save your time altogether. So press enter, you get it. So again, once you have the formula, go to the fill handle, drag it down, you have the gross pay calculated. Let's go to the next part, and the next part happens to be calculate the Provident Fund. So Provident Fund is, see, this is a bit trickier one. What does it say? That is, if the 12% of the basic pay is greater than 2000, then maintain it. That means just, in other words, they say that do not give the Provident Fund more than 2000 rupees. So that's it. So when you are calculating 12% of basic, suppose if you get the answer as 2500, then reduce that value to 2000. That's it. So don't go beyond 2000. Suppose when you are calculating the 12% of basic, if you get the answer as 750, which is less than 2000, retain this value. So when you are calculating 12% of basic, if you get a value which is less than 2000, retain that value. Suppose if you get a value which is greater than 2000, then cut off at the 2000 value. So the maximum limit is 2000, don't go beyond 2000. When you are calculating, if you get the value less than 2000, retain it. If you are getting more than 2000, just bring it down to 2000. So 2000 is like a cutoff beyond which you don't go it. So what am I supposed to do? First, I am supposed to calculate this one, 12% of the basic, and then compare that with the 2000. If it is more than 2000, retain it. If it is less than if it is more than 2000, cut off at 2000. Otherwise, retain it. So let me write the formula. So first of all, I am going to calculate the 12% of the basic. So how do we calculate the 12% of the basic? So it is 0.12, that is 12%. I'm going to use the if condition because I need to calculate that then. So if 0.12% of, what did they say, if the basic, so 12% of the basic, so if 0.12% of the basic is less than 2000, suppose when you are calculating the Provident Fund, if 12% of the basic is less than 2000, then retain this value. So what is the meaning of it? Retain this value, that is 12% of basic. How do I do that thing? Again, I'm going to type it, then retain this value. So that is 12% of 12%. Let me put a star. 12% of basic. Otherwise, cut it off at 2000. Suppose if it is going beyond that, so this is what is the meaning of this is you calculate 12% of this. So you calculate the 12% of it and find out what is the value. If the value is less than 2000, retain this value, that is the 12%. Suppose if it is going beyond this 2000, then cut off at 2000. So don't go beyond 2000. So as simple as that. Let me press enter. And one thing you must notice here, because it's a cutoff is 2000, you cannot get something greater than 2000 here because it is a cutoff. So here when you calculated the 12%, it is less than 2000, retain that value. When you calculate for the 55,000, 12% maybe is greater than the limit, that is a 2000 limit. In that case, it is cut off beyond this value. Just to for your information, I am going to just calculate this one, that is the 12% of 0.12 of this 55,000 whatever you are getting it. You notice that this becomes 6,600, which is above 2000. So you cut off at 2000. Beyond 2000, don't retain the value. Suppose when you are calculating the 12% of basic, if you are getting the value which is less than 2000, retain it. If it is going beyond that 2000, just cut off the value at 2000. Don't go beyond the 2000. Only professional Provident Fund is 2000 only. Now let's go to the next part. So next part says professional tax is 100 rupees if the gross is less than 10,000, otherwise it is 200 rupees. So this is straightforward. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say equal to if, and what is this one, gross pay. If it is less than 10,000, this is 1,000, 10,000, then the tax is 100 rupees. Otherwise, I think the tax is 200 rupees. Let me verify. So if it is less than 10,000, it is 100. Otherwise, it is 200. So that's it. We have done it, and let me close it. You got it. So this is gross pay is less than 10,000. That is why you got the 100. These values, I think most of them will now end up in 200, because all of them, you notice over here, all of them are beyond 10,000. Only this value is less than that. Now in the examination, suppose if you get all of them as a 200, just make the adjustment with the basic, reduce the value of the basic. So for example, this is for 4,500 is there. Let's make it as 8,000 over here, and maybe, or if it is like 5,000 here, and then see the value, it's going to be 100. Okay, let's go to the net pay. The net pay is very simple, gross minus professional tax plus Provident Fund. So I'm going to straight away write that thing. So this is equal to gross pay minus, I'm going to use the circular bracket, minus professional tax plus Provident Fund plus professional tax. I'm going to close the bracket here, press enter, and you got the net pay. Drag it down, and you are done with the work. Now once this is done, I'm going to just zoom it out a bit. Okay, so once this is done, let's look at what else they are asking me to do. So the next part they are asking me to do is create a pivot table. So how do you create a pivot table? Again, when you try to create a pivot table, just keep the cursor anywhere. Select any cell within this range, whatever you have done, all the formula that you have done. Just keep the cursor, the active cell within this region. Anything you can select it, any number, anything you can select. Just keep it inside. That's it. Now once you have done that thing, let's go to the insert. We are supposed to insert a pivot table. Let's click on insert, and you have the first choice itself, and that choice happens to be the pivot table. So you have the choice here, pivot table. Let's click on the pivot table. When you click on the pivot table, the Excel will automatically, because I have clicked inside this table, Excel automatically will make the selection for you. You don't need to drag and do anything. The only thing that you are supposed to do is generally pivot table is created in the fresh sheet, because that is meant for analysis purpose, but in my case I will say in the existing worksheet. So one change I am going to do is in the existing worksheet, because they have not asked me to create a separate worksheet. So that is, as far as the question, nothing is mentioned, but you can also do it, because as far as the question, nothing is mentioned there. So when you say existing worksheet, you are supposed to provide the location where you want the your pivot table will appear. Now generally it is better you just keep it here. So just click at this location, keep your cursor at this location, just click here in this location, and once you see this blinking cursor there, you can see that blinking cursor, just click outside this table, somewhere down in the table. It will take the location, it will say sheet 1 and so on. It will take the location, don't worry about its location. You just what did I do is I click here and just select one blank area where you are outside that particular region, that whatever this region is there, just go outside and just click one of the cell. That's it. Click OK. It's done. So when you see this pivot table, this is how it appears. Now I want along the rows, what is they are saying. So insert a pivot table, and what they are asking me to is to count the number of employees in each department. So that means to say that per every department, how many employees are there, I am supposed to select it. So when you are creating a pivot table, Remember, if you click outside, you notice this pivot table fields will come. If you click outside, it just vanishes. If you click inside, anywhere inside this one, this particular thing will come. Okay, so in this place I'm going to go here and say I want to do something with the department. So I'm going to click on this department, and you see the department. You have the accounts department, sales department and service department, and I am supposed to count how many employees are there in this department, number of employees in each department. How am I going to do it? So very simple thing, I'm going to click on this employee number. Remember, the first time when I selected it, I clicked on this right mark. So when I click on this right mark, I'm getting the department. You can see here what I'm doing. When I select it, when I click on it, when there is a right mark, you see the department. Okay, next time I'm not going to click on this one. I'm not going to select this. I'm not going to click on this box over here. Rather, I will go to the name here. So I'll go to this name here and then drag it and put it in the values over here. So employee number or employee name, you can drag it and then keep it here. Okay, automatically you will notice that it will say the formula that it is using is count of employees. Sometime it may show you the sum of employees. This happens if your employee numbers are plain numeric. So most of the time if you are asked to get the employee number, student number, register number, something, don't write them when you are using Excel. Don't write them as plain number. This is not a plain number, it is an alphanumerical. It is not numerical, it is alphanumerical because there is an alphabet associated with this. This is plain numeric. If you see the basic over here, this is plain numeric. If you keep both of them as numeric, Excel will start adding, subtracting and doing all the mathematical formula, because it thinks that whenever the number is there, it thinks some analysis has to be performed on those numbers. So if you want to avoid this kind of problem, employee number or customer number, everything you make it as alphanumeric. So I have done it alphanumeric. Purposely I have done it as alphanumeric. That's the reason I have taken it as alphanumeric. Now let me come back to the pivot table here. So I have the count of employees here, and if you look at here, sales department has, account department has 3 employees, and you can calculate account has 3 employees. Okay, Kavya is there, Deepa is there, and Sheila is there, and so on and so forth. The other sales department has 3 and service department has 3 and so on, 2 and so on. Altogether 8 should be there, because you know very well we have added the details for 8 employees. Now back to the question what they have said, and then they said create a pie chart. So once you have your pivot table, just click on anywhere in the pivot table, this time not on this one but in the pivot table. And when you are doing this pivot table, you have a lot of options over here. Notice there, pivot table tools, you have the analysis and the design. You can change the pivot table design, but that is not asked in the examination, so don't waste your time on that. But what is asked in the examination is to create a pie chart, and once you have clicked on this, the pivot table, you notice that there is a pivot chart, and this is very straightforward. Click on it. Remember, don't go for insert and other things, just click on this pivot chart which is there in the pivot table analysis. You have design, analysis. Remember, this piece will come only if your cursor is there or your selection is there in the pivot table. If you click outside, this piece will not come. So if you click here, that extra options will come. Let me go to the analysis of the pivot tools and then click on the pivot chart. I'm going to click on the pivot chart, and they said create a pie chart, and I'm going to select the pie chart, and that's it. I don't have to do anything, just click OK, and maybe drag it, click on the blank area and just to drag it down and keep it onto the other side. You can click outside to remove all these things. So you have the pie chart created too. for you, and that's all what you are supposed to do in this exercise. Thank you for your interest, and we will meet again in the next video. Thank you.